you see that they are released at once, Mr. Fletcher? The garden will be off limits, however, until the entrance to the drains are sealed.
You're making a big mistake, Mrs. Davidson. Wentworth's already under the threat of a royal commission. I'd suggest you don't make things worse.
According to you, Mr. Gillespie, I seem to be making quite a few mistakes, so I doubt whether one more will matter. But I will not continue to punish the entire prison because of the actions of a few.
What you looking for? You weren't thinking of eating and running, were you? Miss Bryant?
How long have you known who I am?
I saw your picture in the paper this morning.
Oh, really? Well, if you knew who I was when you picked me up, you're harboring, you know that? And if I get caught, then you'll be charged.
Not many people come out this way. There's no risk to either
Oh, no risk to you, you mean? You'll be off to the cops the first chance you get.
If the boys in blue want you, they can do their own foot slogging. I'm not going to help them.
Yeah, well, if that's true, then why are you holding me here?
Nobody's holding you here, Jude. If you ask me, though, you've got Buckleys if you go on the run.
Well, what else am I going to do?
You're welcome to stay here as long as you like.
How do I know I can trust you?
I got no time for society or its laws. But you've got to take my word for that. And what's it going to be? Staying or going?
Well, you know, won't be for long or anything, just till the heat's off.
That's settled then. Smoke?
Is that grass?
Homegrown. Best there is.
Yeah, well, I'm not into drugs.
I thought you were sentenced for peddling.
That was a mistake.
It's interesting. Feel like talking about it?
Got a couple of hours.
All the time in the world.
Well, sort of a love story.
Not bad, is it?
What?
Being here. We were lucky to be alive.
Yeah, we're real lucky we made it, all right. When Bea chucked that mental in the tunnel. Well, that was worse than being on our own in the dark.
Good morning, ladies.
Morning, Mr. Fletcher.
Come on, Lizzie, up you get. According to the doctor, you are fully recovered now.
That quack! He wouldn't know what day it was. I've still got me palpitations. As a matter of fact, they're coming on now.
Come on, you stop that nonsense. You're going back to the laundry.
What about me, Mr. Fletcher?
How's the leg?
Oh, it's better, honest. Look.
You're still limping, Doreen.
Yeah, I know, but just a bit, and I can get around on it all right.
All right, you can go back with Lizzie, but you've got to rest that leg as much as possible.
Yeah, thanks.
I'll be back in 10 minutes.
Now, you can be all right, Lizzie, because if you're going to have another turn...
I had to say that. I thought I'd like to stay here a bit longer. I was getting used to having breakfast in bed.
Be good to be back with the others, but...
There's been another attempt to ship a consignment of horses to Japan.
Maybe there is no news about old
Unless
Judy.
the government reconsidered...
Remember, Burns, rest that leg as much as possible.
Yes.
A spokesman from the RSPCA
you two all right?
said that after...
No, we're just cracking hardy. We want to be back with our mates, didn't we, Dor?
Sure did, Lizzie.
Yeah, but you're still limping.
I'm okay, honest.
The hunt for Wentworth escapee Judith Bryant continues. A police spokesman said there had been a number of sightings. One report came from a woman who claimed she saw Bryant in Port Augusta, South Australia.
Oh, she must
And
be
in Broken
moving
Hill, a man
fast.
stated he had seen Bryant in a supermarket.
Oh, we should give the
Police
cops
are
a bit of
investigating
exercise.
both claims and are certain that Bryant will be recaptured within the next few days. And now, after this break, we'll be back with our sports coverage.
Think that's advisable, Mr. Fletcher?
What?
Giving the pigs a run for their money, all right? Yeah, they're chasing her all over Australia. They must be whistling in the dark. They can't even have a lead.
Good on you, Jude.
Hey.
They're getting cocky, thinking one of their mates has got the better of the police. Won't be long before another one goes over the wall. I suggest that all television be banned until Bryant's recaptured.
You'll be stirring up trouble if you deny the women viewing privileges.
Mr. Fletcher, the television goes.
As Mrs. Davidson is my superior and I've had no order from her, the television stays.
Even if I banned all media, the women still have a grapevine, you know.
Then you refuse to implement my suggestion?
Not entirely. By taking away radio and television, I would be depriving the women of normal recreation privileges. However, it would seem reasonable to censor any newspaper information about Bryant. Surely that is a satisfactory compromise?
Yes, it's the usual soft option.
I shall inform the staff. In the meantime, if there is nothing else...
Ah, home, sweet home.
Yeah.
Now, you just pop your legs up. I'll tuck you into bed. And then I'll make some coffee, eh? Oh, yeah. Just like one of them war films, really.
What is?
Us being back here. You know, the heroes go through all these adventures and they get stuck in an underground tunnel. And just as they've got their last gasp, they're rescued by the commandos.
It wasn't anything like that, Lizzie, and I wish to God you'd stop talking about it because it's given me the creeps.
Snatched from the jaws of death. Oh, bloody coffee. We ought to be having champers.
And just what have we got to celebrate?
Well, we're alive, aren't we?
Irene isn't.
Don't be.
Oh, don't be. That's right. Go and bury your head in the sand. That whole bloody stunt went for nothing. Irene's dead and we gained sweet Fanny Adams.
Oh, it's all my fault. If I hadn't rushed off like a bat
I wasn't blaming you. Griffin bitch hadn't interfered. Oh, and guess what I've heard? Griffin's being transferred to the loony bin. I didn't even get a crack at her.
Oh, don't be. The poor little bugger should have been there in the first place. And we got a lot to be thankful for.
Such as?
Well, we're still alive, aren't we?
With Gillespie here, we might as well be dead.
Morning, Mrs. M. How's married life?
Get a move on, Lizzie.
Oh, what's got into her?
Come along, Bee. You can't stay here unless you're sick.
I'm sick of this place. And Gillespie. How long is he going to stay here?
As long as the department sees fit.
Forever?
I can't answer that. Now, will you get up?
Locked doors, guns. The girls aren't going to take it much longer, you know.
He'll break you before you break him. Now, you be careful.
You don't like that pig either, do you?
My feelings have got nothing to do with it.
I thought so. If you thought he was such a great guy, you wouldn't be standing here listening to me abuse him.
Mr. Gillespie is in charge of security. Now, as far as you're concerned, Mrs. Davidson is the final authority at Wentworth.
Then why doesn't she show some muscle, then? I mean Judy's letter. If she wanted to stir something up, she could show that to the authorities.
The note has been passed on to the department.
Oh, yes, we all know what that means, don't we?
Morning, Mr. Gillespie.
Is it? What are you doing?
Censoring the outgoing mail.
These newspapers been censored?
Censored?
Yes, you know, little bits cut out.
No, sir.
Well, on page 3 of the Clarion and page 5 of the Verity, there are reports of Bryant's escape. Would you see that both stories are removed?
Mrs. Davidson hasn't said anything about it.
Then she's remiss in her duties. It was decided last night.
As I said, I hadn't heard.
You're quite at liberty to confirm it with the governor if you think I'm lying.
Of course not. There are rules about censorship. I don't see why they can't always be enforced.
My sentiments exactly.
Might I suggest the curtailing of the radio and television broadcast as well? There's sure to be a mention of Bryant and
Just the newspapers.
In my opinion,
Stick to the orders you're given. You haven't time for opinions. Just make sure you remove any relevant information. And remember, if anything gets past you, you're being assessed as well as the prison in general.
Now, what are you sneaking around for?
Sorry. Didn't realize you were asleep. If you read between the lines, you'll realize our precious police force haven't got a clue where you are. What's that?
Well, Well, I left a note in my cell saying why I escaped.
About the security bloke.
Yeah, I thought they would have found it by now and given it to the authorities, but no, there's no mention of it in there.
You didn't really expect the authorities to pass on your criticisms to the press, did you?
No, I guess I'll have to do that myself.
What will that achieve?
Well, it's a good story, isn't it? Gun law at Wentworth. It'd fix Gillespie and the press would have a field day.
If you ask me, they're just as likely to twist the story to make you look bad. I mean, a dangerous escaped criminal, you know? That justifies them having guns to stop other prisoners escaping.
Yeah, well, what else am I going to do?
There's always the ombudsman.
What?
The ombudsman, he's sort of like a public troubleshooter. You take your grievances to him and he passes the complaints on to the government.
Do you mean he can force the department to take action against Gillespie?
If he wants to.
Yeah, if he wants to. Yeah, what am I kidding myself for? He's only another public servant.
He's supposed to be impartial.
You know, if I wrote to the press and told them I'd already informed the ombudsman, then he'd have to take action. Got any paper and pen?
In the drawer.
Run that through the machines again. It's filthy.
Don't know how I'm supposed to run me book. Can't even scratch yourself without that pig Gillespie jumping you.
We have to get rid of him, that's all.
How?
Hey, why don't you make a pass at him, Lizzie?
Wouldn't touch him with a barge pole.
You gotta make sacrifices. I reckon one round with you and he'd be glad to see the back of this joint.
A woman of my experience, it'd be a privilege.
What are we gonna do, B? I've had that bloke up to here, and so have the other girls. If we don't do something...
We wear it.
Just gonna lay down, are you?
You ever say that to me again, and you'll end up in a wheelchair.
Okay.
Look, I know things are bad at the moment, but at least we made a point, didn't we, with the escape?
What point?
Well, Judy got away, and she left a note. Even if the department don't do anything about Gillespie, at least Mrs. Davidson knows the score.
Yeah, well, that's not all. I mean, there are other real good things about the escape.
Yeah?
Well, it was sort of the feeling of us all being mates together, you know, getting everything ready and sticking together instead of bitching and fighting all the time.
Right. Still doesn't make up for having that pig Gillespie on your back.
Don't you see the only chance we've got against Gillespie is to close ranks? Fighting amongst ourselves is only going to make things worse.
Burns, you're supposed to be resting that leg.
I'm okay, Mr. Fletcher.
All right, but you're coming with me to see the governor. You too, Birdsworth.
What have I done?
Nothing. You're to report to the kitchen. Special duties.
Oh, that'll make a change.
And just remember what I said about working together.
I received word from the clerk of courts. You'll be going to trial 2 weeks from today.
About taking Chrissy's baby.
Yes. You will also be charged with escaping from lawful custody. Now, look, it's much better to get it all over at once, then you'll know exactly where you stand.
I'm not complaining.
Have you done anything about legal representation at the trial?
No.
Well, the firm that handled your mother's property could probably suggest someone.
Can't I just have legal aid like the other girls?
Why on earth would you want to do that? You can afford to engage someone privately with the money from your mother's estate.
I haven't got it anymore, Mrs. Davidson.
What on earth do you mean?
I haven't got anything in the bank.
Oh, don't be silly. Of course you have. You couldn't withdraw it without my knowledge.
It's true, I'm broke.
What is the name of your bank?
Come on, Burns. The governor asked you a question.
Union Savings Bank in Kew.
Oh, that's really beautiful. Something about working with your hands, isn't there? Being creative and all.
Yep. Pity more people didn't realize how satisfying it could be. Living simply, creating instead of destroying.
Yeah. Listen, Wally, these letters are for the press and the ombudsman. I was wondering if you'd do me a favor and post them for me, huh?
Locally? You'll have a van of cops down here before you can bat an eyelid.
Well, I didn't mean for you to post them locally, you know. I thought maybe you'd take them far enough to put them off the scent.
Forget the letters, Judy. They'll do you no good.
You put me onto the ombudsman.
Yeah, I was a fool. You'll stir up a hornet's nest.
Well, I've got to do something.
No, you don't. No, I've offered you refuge here as long as you like. You're safe. You don't have to crusade.
Oh, I do. For my mates inside. Now, look, even if these don't do any good, at least I'll have the satisfaction of knowing I've stood up for my principles.
They're two a penny in this society.
Get you. I mean, you opted out for your principles, didn't you? I suppose if something went wrong with those, you'd be the first one to do something about it.
Of course I would. But when you're recaptured...
If I'm recaptured.
Okay. If you're recaptured, I'll make you a scapegoat. Even if they get rid of that security fella, the screws will make your life a misery because you try to buck the system.
Okay. You won't do it for me, will you?
No. Not when I think of the trouble they'll cause you.
Well, I'll do it myself then. Will you lend me the ute?
If I let you go, you're sure to be cited.
Thanks, Wally.
I still say you're banging your head against a brick wall.
What am I going to do? Davey's going to ring the bank and then they'll find out I'm broke.
You didn't say anything about Helen, did you?
Come off, of course I didn't. But Davey will still bring the cops in to find out how come the money's gone.
No, she won't. Listen, if they connected Helen to the escape, they would have picked her up by now. So she must be in the clear.
Yeah, but for how long? Doreen will go to pieces if the cops start heavying her about the money.
Oh, no, she won't. Listen, you're going to have to make up a story, like Griffin. Make up a name. Say you met a girl on the outside who forged your signature.
Yeah, but they're going to find out it's a false name and then what'll happen?
Yeah, but that's going to take them some time. Meanwhile, while they're out in a wild goose chase, we'll think up of some other story.
Yeah, look what I found.
Oh, God, don't go creeping up on us like that.
I wasn't creeping.
What is it anyway?
Yeast. Eureka.
What?
Yeast, the basic ingredient for booze.
I don't believe it, Lizzie. If they knew you were around, they would have kept that under lock and key.
They don't know about this. They're cleaning out the kitchens, you see. They're chucking out all the old stuff, and this was shoved right at the back of the cupboard. Somebody must have stashed it there in the olden days to make a home brew.
But if it's that old, it won't be any good.
Nah, it'll be all right.
Just how do you think you're going to make a home brew with the screws breathing down our neck every minute of the day?
Oh, I'll get around them.
Bull. And when you get sprung, Gillespie will come down on the rest of us like a ton of bricks.
I don't intend to get sprung, but if I do, you're not going to suffer. I'll take all of the blame.
You're mental. Gillespie will rip your arms out.
Nah, with my old ticker, they wouldn't even shove me in the pound. You'll change your tune when it's made.
Strike a light. Don't tell me you're working for a change.
Of course not. It's me brew. Water, sugar and yeast.
Aren't they the floor cleaning buckets?
Of course. How else do you reckon I was going to get past the screws?
But the bloody things are filthy.
I scrubbed them out with disinfectant. They're that clean you can see your face in them. Oh. Well, I better get on with me spring cleaning.
Hey, has anyone seen the newspapers? They should be here by now.
Yeah, I could use a form guide.
Oh, the damn TV's gone on the blink again.
Give it a thump in the fine tuning.
It's had the gong, Bee.
So's this. Battery's dead as a doornail.
No.
Here are your papers.
Well, thanks, Vera.
I hope you enjoy them.
Miss Bennett. Helly's gone bang.
Well, don't look at me. I can't fix it.
Why don't you get a repairman?
An old set like that could be rather expensive. Can't you propose to pay for it?
Out of the recreation fund. That's what it's for.
You spent most of that money on the pantomime. You have to wait a few months till it builds up again.
A few months without the tally.
That won't hurt you. Carry on, Miss Bennett.
Well, don't just stand around. You've still got the newspapers and the radio.
No, we haven't.
It's all right, Doreen. Thanks, Vera. Bit of a coincidence, don't you reckon?
What?
First the telly going on the blink, then the tranny, and now this.
The bastards!
I reckon they're pretty scared of us finding out something.
Yeah, it must be about Judy. Well, at least we know she hasn't been caught.
How do we know?
If they'd nabbed her, the screws wouldn't be trying these tactics. They'd be rubbing our noses in it.
Still like to know the latest.
You will, dearie. You will.
But how can we?
Tomorrow we are going to get an uncut newspaper. Okay, Margo, hop to it.
How you going, ferret face?
Hey, what do you
Said
think?
ferret.
Cut
that out.
Get back. Go, Lizzie. Oh, stop kicking!
What's going on?
It's just a scuffle, sir. It's all right. Take Gaffney to solitary. She was the one that started it all.
Wasn't me, it was that bitch!
Just a scuffle, eh? It's a damn sight more than a scuffle to me. What are they doing there?
Oh, I put them there when I went to assist.
And in the meantime, any one of the inmates could have taken one. What's the point in censoring?
Oh, no, they're all here, sir.
No, thanks to you. I warned you this morning.
I don't think it helps to make a scene in front of the inmates, sir.
Yes, well, get them all back inside, Fletcher. Then I want to see all senior staff in the governor's office.
All right, ladies, back inside, quick.
About time, too. It's getting a bit nippy out here.
Yeah.
All right, ladies, come on, hop to it.
Come on, just look. Oh, crikey, I shouldn't have taken those dash bandages off so soon. Uh-oh. It's in the stop press.
What's it say?
Today, our news office received a letter from Judy Bryant. She claims she escaped from Wentworth Detention Centre because of unnecessary and oppressive security instituted by a Mr. Gillespie. She also states she sent a letter to the state ombudsman. See our next issue for further details.
Is that all?
It's enough. I take my hat off to the old Jude. With this going on, things should really get stirred up.
Yeah, but she must be pretty safe if she can just sit around writing letters.
What do you mean? It still takes guts. She didn't have to worry about us, you know. She could have just skipped off and looked after her own skin.
Yeah, sticking together forever. We'll get rid of that old Gillespie yet.
So much for Wentworth security. 4 officers on duty and still one of you is attacked.
Gaffney did not attack Officer Knox.
Well, whether she was attacked or not, she was in danger. Which is why I'm recommending that in future, all officers will work in pairs.
Have you any idea what that would mean? We've barely enough staff as it is without doubling up on every shift.
Well, the staff will simply have to work overtime.
Most of us are already.
Look, my sole concern is with your safety. You people are living in a dream world. These women are dangerous criminals. And if violence erupts, it's you, the staff, who's going to get hurt. Now, will you ratify my recommendation?
Yes. From now on, all officers are to work in pairs. Mr. Fletcher, will you rework the rosters, please?
Yes, Mrs. Davidson.
Good. That settles that. Now we can all get back to work.
Was that necessary?
I'm sorry. As you know, I do not agree with everything Mr. Gillespie does or the way that he does it. He's made several recommendations which I have refused to implement. But I cannot afford to knock back every suggestion he makes.
Well, why not if you don't agree with it? The department has reasserted your authority here.
They gave me a vote of confidence. I still have to show I can work with him and that I am prepared to improve my own performance. If I do not, I may not remain as governor.
I'm sick of all this overtime. Poor Meg just married. You think she could have some home life?
We all have to make sacrifices.
If you were married.
What's the matter?
There might be half a dozen psychopaths waiting to stick knives in our ribs. Hold my hand, Vera.
Don't be ridiculous.
It is that jumped-up public servant who's being ridiculous. But then it's useless talking to you. You and Gillespie are like peas in a pod.
I think it's high time we smartened up our ideas on both discipline and security.
Just don't understand you, Vera. Julie told me he tore strips off you yesterday. You've got nothing to thank him for.
I didn't say that I agreed on all his ideas. What are you doing there, Birdsworth?
I've got this letter for that ombudsman.
You've never been interested in that sort of thing before?
I've been in here too long, I must have forgot. Anyway, I've been brushing up on my rule book. And since that Gillespie bloke's been on our
That's
back...
enough of that.
Well, it says that any prisoner can write to the ombudsman at any time with any complaint.
You'll be in trouble if you make a false accusation.
Oh, it isn't false. It says that no one can see it, no member of the staff can censor it or read it at any time. It's all here in black and white.
I'm perfectly well aware of the rules, but I can't take the letter like that.
Why not?
It's got to go into a special envelope.
Oh?
There are special printed ones issued by the government. I would have thought you'd know that since you're so well up on the rules.
Oh, I must have missed that bit.
Yes.
Well, can you get me one of them special ones?
You'll have to wait.
How long? It's a matter of life and death.
All right. Now get back to work.
I can't. I'm locked in. I've got to take these buckets to the laundry. Guess what I just heard?
What?
I was waiting for the screw see to give him this letter, and I heard 2 voices, and
What
so
letter?
I waited. The one I wrote to the ombudsman's bloke. And it was Vera and Powell. And guess who they was talking about?
Vinegar's sex life.
Oh, Gillespie. And Pal reckons he's nothing but a jumped-up public servant.
Now, that sounds promising.
She hates his guts.
What did Vera say?
Oh, well, apparently he's been picking on her a bit lately, so she's not too fond of him neither.
Better and better.
Yeah, but if they got no chance of getting rid of him, what chance have we got?
Hey, what about the letter? Have you still got it?
Yeah, but it's got to go in a special envelope. It's all printed and addressed and everything.
Oh, the bloody screws have got us every way, haven't they? They give you an official envelope, you put your letter in it and sign for it, and it's meant to be sent off to the state ombudsman. That's the rule.
Yeah, so?
Oh, then the screws get your letter, open it up, read it. If there's something in it they don't like, let us change it.
Oh, but they'd recognise Vera's handwriting.
They'd type it, put it in another official envelope and send it off. The bastards have got us every way.
But it says in the rule book that the man has to send us back a letter saying that he's received our complaints.
Yeah, you can imagine what that'd be like, can't you? Dear madam, we have received your complaint and we are looking into the problem. They wouldn't know whether it was a fake or not.
I never thought of that.
Oh, never mind, Lizzie, you tried.
That means that we're not going to be able to get rid of that Gillespie or anything.
Hey, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that.
I've just had an idea.
Isn't that yesterday's paper?
Yes.
I recognise the photo on the cover. What are yesterday's papers doing mixed up with today's?
Must be the news agency. They're terribly inefficient.
Should send Gillespie down there. He'd teach them how to run their business.
Yes. Jerry, only two, pleased to help. Yes, bye. Sorry about that. Now, you're saying you're having trouble with the new security measures?
More with the person imposing them.
Stewart, Gillespie. Now, Erica, we have discussed this before.
I know. But it's reached the point where not only the prisoners are resentful of him, he's causing unrest amongst the staff.
Oh, in what way?
Well, these new security measures mean that most of the officers are on compulsory overtime. I'm wondering who's going to break first, the inmates or the staff?
This business with Bryant, her letters to the press and the ombudsman, it's bad publicity. The minister doesn't like it, you know.
I've read Bryant's letter to the press. Now, Ted, I don't want you to think that I condone the escape.
Well, naturally.
But she does have a point. Repression and punishment can only cause security problems, not lessen them. And this is something Mr. Gillespie does not seem to understand.
Yeah, I see. Well, yes, I agree with you, of course.
Well, could you do something?
I'm seeing the minister's secretary tomorrow. All right. I'll put your case to him. I'll tell him that, in my opinion, your rehabilitation programs are preferable to Gillespie's hard-line tactics. How's that?
Well, do you think the minister would be receptive to that point of view?
Well, I hope so. For your sake.
And in the meantime?
Well, until I receive an order from the minister, Gillespie stays.
Hello.
Ah, good timing. I've just popped the cork.
I'm sorry. I think you misunderstood me.
Dinner for two. Several hours later, but what does that matter?
Oh, darling, I'm sorry. I was so hungry, I got a sandwich whilst the women were having dinner.
Oh, well, I won't force feed you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Stop apologising. But I can't help feeling that if you'd resigned as planned, we would have both been better off. Look, Meg, it's not that I want you for my little housewife, keeping the home fires burning, but Wentworth is driving you into the ground. Look, you come home every night looking as if you fought the Battle of Britain single-handed.
Oh, it's not that bad.
Well, I think it is. Look, you were going to quit because of Gillespie, right? Now, he's still there, nothing's changed, and you're working overtime for a system you don't even believe in.
I know that. But Erica's in trouble. She needs our support.
Meanwhile, you drop dead from exhaustion.
Well, once Jim's had a chance to rearrange the rosters, it won't be so bad.
No?
No. As a matter of fact, it's getting better already. Because I had to work overtime tonight, I don't have to go until lunchtime tomorrow. So we've got the whole morning together. If you can bear it.
I'll try.
What'll we do?
You, my darling, will do nothing.
I could get used to that.
And how about breakfast in bed?
I could get used to that, too.
And after that, we could go and do a bit of shopping.
Meanwhile, your business goes to rack and ruin.
Oh, look, there's nothing at the office that can't wait until tomorrow. And it's really something to have a morning to do just as we please,
What a lovely thought.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Gillespie, you sure you're all right?
What are you talking about?
I have orders, sir. All officers to patrol in pairs.
I'm not an officer.
Oh, well, that's not the point. These corridors are dangerous. You said so yourself. You need an escort.
Any amusing?
I don't think so. Nor will the union.
Oh?
You may be able to bully the inmates, but you can't bully us. There are regulations about compulsory overtime, and all the officers have done more than the regulations permit. I'm going to take it to the union.
You do that, Mrs. Powell. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Mr. Gillespie, we'll go with you. Can't ignore the rules.
To the Ombudsman. We wish to complain about the following.
Gillespie?
Yeah. As you know, Judy Bryant escaped because of one Mr. Gillespie. We are all still suffering. Gillespie is a
Tyrant?
Good one. Tyrant. Who is making everyone's life a misery. He's told the officers to shoot for the heart.
Oh, come on, Beat. We're not too sure about that. It mightn't be true.
Doesn't matter if it's true or not. Gillespie also plays favourites. There's a girl in C Block who did him a favour.
Hey, go slow. Do you reckon they'll know what favour means?
You want me to spell it out?
What's going on?
Oh, we're just writing a letter to the Ombudsman. We're allowed to tell him about our complaints. It says so in the rule book.
Quite, if your complaints are legitimate.
Yeah, but how would you know if they were or they weren't?
I know, girlie.
What do you know?
That you've very little to complain about at Wentworth.
That's a matter of opinion.
Lies will only make you look bad, so I suggest you forget
Thanks
about
for
that
the
letter.
suggestion, but we'll send the letter anyway.
At your own peril.
Do you reckon he heard?
Did you see his face?
I thought he was going to have a bloody stroke.
Oh, I reckon we're on a goer, girls.
Hello?
Meg, it's Jim Fletcher.
What on earth do you want?
Look, I'm really sorry. I know you've got the morning off, but Kath phoned in sick.
And you want me to cover for her?
Well, would you mind? I wouldn't ask, except that...
Jim, I would mind. I've made important arrangements for this morning.
Well, couldn't you change them?
No, I couldn't. I'll see you later today.
Well, what was all that about?
Oh, it's Jim Fletcher who wanted me to cover for this morning's shift.
It's a bit unreasonable, isn't it?
I say.
Well, come on, you hop back into bed. I'm going to make the breakfast.
Come in.
Birdsworth wants to see you, Mrs. Davidson.
Yes, Lizzie, what is it?
Oh, Mrs. D, you look tired. You've been working overtime like everybody else.
Never mind about that, Lizzie. What is it you want?
Well, this is for the Ombudsman. It's all present and correct. Miss Bennett gave me the envelope.
Yes,
and...
Lizzie, that's quite all right. Now, I want you to sign this book. You will receive acknowledgement the Ombudsman has the letter, and then you will be required to sign the book again.
When's that likely to be?
Oh, within the next few days.
When do you reckon he'll get round to doing something about it?
Well, it will be at least 2 weeks.
2 weeks? What's he got to do all day except read letters and...
Very busy. I'm sure he'll get onto this matter as soon as he can.
Oh, suppose he's working overtime like everybody else. All right, I won't hold me breath.
Miss Bennett, would you see that this letter goes with the afternoon mail?
Yes, Mrs. Davidson. Come on, Birdsworth.
Yes, Mrs. Powell.
There's a police officer to see Doreen Burns.
Oh, yes. Would you bring him in here and then fetch Burns?
Of course.
Everything go according to plan?
Too right.
Hey, Rita, kick knit.
Well, now what happens?
We'll give it till after lunchtime.
But the letters don't go out till the Sarvo's post. Do you reckon that gives Gillespie time to fiddle with them?
After what he's heard, he's going to be on the lookout.
So I go down to Davy's office and tell her that I've changed my mind about complaining and get the letter back.
Right, and I bet you $1 a brick it's been replaced with a typewritten one complaining about the food or something.
Yeah, but Lizzie signed it and he can't forge her signature.
Well, the signature will just be a scrawl. Could be anyone's.
Yeah, well, I still don't get it, B.
When we get the letter back, the one Gillespie's replaced Lizzie's with, we take it to Davo and tell her the whole story.
You reckon she'll believe us?
Well, if she doesn't, we'll get Pal in. She heard us writing last night and she knows what's in the real letter. So if Gillespie's fiddled with it, it's curtains. He's committed an offence. Goodbye, Gillespie.
Oh, and I reckon we'll have something to celebrate with because my home brew's coming along real well.
Girls, back to work.
Roll out the barrel. We'll have a barrel of the...
You want it in the governor's office?
What for?
Well, how would I know? Come on.
It's cops, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Hurry up.
Don't worry, love. Stick to your story. You'll be all right.
Come in.
Doreen Burns, Mrs. Davidson.
Sit down, Doreen. Thank you, Mrs. Powell. That will be all for the moment. Doreen, this is Sergeant Parker.
Pleased to meet you, Mrs. Burns.
Yeah.
You do know what this is all about, don't you? Your bank account. Now, I'll tell you the facts as I know them, and then you can tell us all about it, okay? Acting on information received from Mrs. Davidson, I proceeded to the Union Bank where you have your savings account. I was informed by one of the clerks that a woman calling herself Doreen Burns and disguised to look like you had withdrawn $3,000 from your account. I was also shown the withdrawal slip. It was a pretty good imitation of your signature. Now, what do you say to that?
Wasn't me.
We do know that. Who do you suppose it was?
Well, this girl on the outside. I met this girl on the outside.
Go on.
Well, she looked a bit like me. Well, quite a lot, really. Anyway, she knew that I had the money, so it could have been her, because she'd seen my signature and everything.
What was her name?
Julie. Julie Christie.
Julie Christie. And you're pretty sure it was her who withdrew the money from your account?
Could have been.
Or it could have been anyone.
Yeah, I suppose so.
But you knew yesterday the money had gone from the bank. If you knew that, you must know who took it.
Who was it, Doreen?
Look, the money was mine, wasn't it?
That's correct.
Well, I can do whatever I like with it.
It was stolen by false pretenses.
Yeah, but it was still mine. And if I don't want to lay a charge...
It's a police matter, Burns. Forging a signature for gain is a criminal offence, and we want to know who did it. Withholding information is also a criminal offence, and you can be charged.
Excuse me, Sergeant. Doreen, you are already facing the court on 2 counts. Surely you don't want to add a third to the list?
Well, what was her name? I asked you a question.
Shove it.
Burns?
I don't care what you say. When I go to trial, they're going to throw the book at me anyway. So what's a few more months?
You'll regret this. But if you tell me now...
I won't. I'm not lagging on a mate.
What's this?
A letter to the Ombudsman. As you can see, it's been...
Oh, yes. Birdsworth's complaint, I imagine.
I assume so.
You read it?
Of course not. Letters to the Ombudsman are confidential.
Not curious about what Birdsworth's complaint might be?
It's not a matter of curiosity. It's against the law to read such a letter.
Libel's also against the law.
What do you mean?
Well, in plain terms, this letter's full of lies. You can bet your career on it. I would have thought, as an officer who knows her duty, you'd want to protect yourself and your colleagues from that sort of libel.
I've got nothing to hide.
Even the best officers have had their careers ruined by accusations like this. Even if the charge remains unproved, the mud sticks.
But you can't. It's to the Ombudsman.
Mr. Gillespie.
Miss Bennett warned him not to open the letter, but he went ahead anyway.
Fine, Ted. You stated the facts. Now, how about having a look at the letter?
I'm no more entitled to read that than you are.
You might feel differently if it was blackening your character. Look, I overheard Birdsworth and Smith talking about it. It hinted at gross impropriety on my
That
part.
has nothing to do with it. You would have had a chance to clear yourself.
I will not be liable by some prison scum that just wants to stir up trouble. Libel's a criminal offence.
And so is tampering with that letter.
Oh, all right. Let the letter go through then.
It's gone further than that, and you know it. The only line of action left to me now is to report you.
To whom?
Well, the minister, of course.
You're hell-bent on ruining my career, aren't you, Douglas?
Not at all. Now, you've got a good record with the department. I'll make it my business to mention that to the minister.
Don't do me any favours.
After my report has gone through, you'll no doubt be transferred to another division of the service.
A demotion?
Of course. After this, what do you expect?
Me demoted while some worthless scum...
After my report. And you can take your leave as of now, while the minister considers it.
Just how do you feel about this, Mrs. Davidson?
I'm in no position to comment.
That's right. But I can comment on you.
I think it'll be better all round.
Whatever breach I've committed, your failings are still evident. This prison's run like a second-rate beach resort.
Gillespie!
Ever since I arrived here, I've seen nothing but gross incompetence and stupidity in your administration. And if there is a royal commission into the prison system, you may be sure I will air that view. Good day.
Finished the masterpiece?
Almost. Oh.
Jim, you look as though you've been up most of the night.
Oh, close to it. The rosters are bad enough to organise without Gillespie adding his ideas.
I contacted the union last night about the overtime.
What'd they say?
They want it in writing, with signatures from all the staff. Here you are. All the others have signed.
Well, I suppose that's the only way.
Could I have a word with you, Mr. Fletcher?
Yes, certainly.
It concerns all the staff. I'm afraid you've been given a lot of unnecessary work with the rosters.
What do you mean?
I'm rescinding the order regarding officers working in pairs. The staff will return to normal duties.
But why, Mrs. Davidson?
Mr. Gillespie has left us. I can't go into details now. Mr. Douglas is in my office and we have a great deal to discuss. But if you would pass that information on to the rest of the staff.
With pleasure.
Well, that's one strike averted.
Yes, I just wish that...
What?
We know the old rosters.
Hmm.
I threw them away.
You didn't say anything about Helen, did you?
No, I said I wouldn't, and I didn't.
Oh, you must have been real brave.
No, that had nothing to do with it. I just had nothing to lose. And once that pig started threatening me, well, I just told him to shove it.
And then what did you say?
Nothing, and I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Fair enough. What time is it, Bea? You asked me that 5 minutes ago. Oh, well, I reckon I ought to go and get that letter before it gets posted. You know it's not going to go until the Savo. Now, we've got to leave it until after lunch to give Gillespie a chance to put in another one. But supposing it backfires, I'm going to be with egg all over me face and hat up on a libel charge. Look, it'll be all right. Now, will you stop fidgeting, because you're giving me the irrits. OK, girls, down tools. Let's see what they're going to try and poison us with today. Oh, I wish I could sit on my nerves. I could do with some grog. You're going to have a bucket full of that rot gun of yours.
It's not rotten gutter. I've got the recipe to a T.
I wouldn't bet on it.
Well, what's up?
Any of you been to the rec room lately?
Not since last night.
No? Well, that grog of Lizzie's, you can smell it a mile off.
What?
Stinks like old socks.
Oh, that's not possible. It's pure alcohol.
Have it your own way, but I smelled it. Maybe the screws aren't card-carrying members of the human race, but they've still got noses.
I better go and have a look at it.
Hey, slow down.
Slow down, nothing. I'm going to look at me booze.
Oh. What on earth is this? Oh, Miss Bennett.
Birdsworth, of course. This is your work, isn't it?
I don't know what you mean.
This muck, it smells revolting.
Oh, rat must have died in there.
It's some sort of alcoholic brew. It's...
Hold your
Birdsworth, on your feet.
Oh, Lizzie, are you all right?
Of course she is. She's just pretended to faint.
Oh, Lizzie, stop playing funny buggers.
On your feet, Birdsworth.
Lizzie?
She's only doing this to avoid punishment.
It's a heart.
Rubbish. She's tried this trick once too often.
Well, this time it's for real. Just stand there, shut up, go and get some help.
He used to give me roses. I wish he could again. But that was on the outside, and things were different then.